They didn't just throw me out. They laughed as I packed my bags, calling me useless, while my mother handed me a list of chores for the real daughters. None of them knew the hands they mocked were the same hands that would one day hold a life in an operating room. If this made your heart twist even a little, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. You have to hear what happened next. I remember standing at the front door, my suitcase half-zipped, and my sister Megan smirking behind Dad. "You'll be back in a month," she said, with empty pockets and no plan like always. They didn't even ask where I was going. They didn't care. But I didn't argue. I just left. And I didn't look back. For 6 years, I worked like a ghost, rotating night shifts, ramen noodles, secondhand textbooks, while everyone else partied, posted, selfies, and pretended they had it all figured out. No one knew I was studying medicine. No one knew I had been accepted to Johns Hopkins. No one even remembered that Evelyn existed. But I remembered everything. Every word. Every laugh. Every moment they made me feel like nothing. And then the call came. It was Megan. She didn't even say hello. "There's been an accident," she said, her voice shaky. "Dad's in surgery. They say the hospital's chief surgeon will arrive soon. Please, if you know anyone." I could hear panic in her voice. Real panic. Not the dramatic kind she faked at family dinners. This was raw. I said nothing at first. I let silence fill the line. "You still there?" she whispered. "Yes," I replied, softly. "I'm already at the hospital." "What?" she asked, confused. "How? Why would you?" I walked past the reception desk, nodded to the nurse who had already prepped the team. I reached for my scrub cap. "I am the hospital's chief surgeon." And the moment she saw me in the OR, holding Dad's chart, her face turned ghost white. Megan stood frozen, clutching her purse like it was the only thing holding her together. Her eyes scanned my ID badge, then my surgical gown, and finally, my face, like she was seeing me for the first time in her life. "Evelyn, what is this? Are you joking?" she stammered. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The medical team around me was already prepping the room, and I was scrubbing in like I'd done 100 times before. Behind her, my mother sat in a waiting room chair, eyes red, hands trembling. Even she looked stunned. She couldn't believe that the failure daughter who once begged her for bus fare was now about to hold her husband's life in her hands. Megan reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back. "This isn't the time," I said calmly. "Right now, your father needs me, and I don't operate with distractions." I could see it in her face. Confusion, guilt, a hint of pride she didn't want to admit. The surgery lasted 4 hours. It was delicate, complicated, but I handled it like muscle memory. When it was over, I stepped out, peeled off my gloves, and walked into the waiting room. The same family that once called me worthless stood up like I was royalty. "He's stable," I said. "He'll recover, but he'll need rest." My brother-in-law, Scott, who once called me a financial parasite, now couldn't even meet my eyes. My younger cousin Grace, who used to screenshot my old job applications and send them to the family group chat as jokes, stood silently in the corner. That's when Mom finally spoke. "Why didn't you tell us?" I tilted my head. "Would you have listened?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Megan sat down slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "You were building all this while we thought you were failing." I turned to her, voice steady. "No, you wanted me to be failing. That's the difference." And just when the room thought the awkward silence had ended, the hospital administrator walked in, a clipboard in hand. "Dr. Evelyn Carter," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "The board just approved the budget for your trauma wing. Congratulations. You'll officially be the youngest division head in our hospital's history." I thanked him quietly, my eyes never leaving my family's faces. "You have a wing?" Grace asked, her mouth open. I gave a small smile. "I built it while you were laughing at my GoFundMe links." But I wasn't done. "Not yet. Now," I said, picking up my coat. "If anyone would like to talk, you can make an appointment. I only speak to family outside of working hours now." And the message was clear. The same hands they once shoved away were the same ones that just saved their entire world. The following Sunday, the family arranged a dinner in my honor. It was the same living room they once held meetings about how to handle Evelyn, back when I couldn't pay rent. Same beige walls, same cold lasagna, but everything felt different now. Megan greeted me at the door like I was royalty. Scott even opened my car door like a valet. Dad was recovering at home, weak but aware. He gave me a shaky smile from the recliner, oxygen tank humming beside him. "We're proud of you," Mom said, placing a too-firm hand on my shoulder. "Really." But her voice lacked warmth. It was pride laced with fear. The fear of realizing the daughter she tossed aside now sat at the top of the food chain. I sat quietly as they served wine and praised my accomplishments like they were always cheering for me. Grace kept showing me photos of her new startup, slipping in little lines like, "Maybe you can mentor me?" Megan bragged about how she always believed I had potential, like I hadn't read the texts she sent, behind my back calling me a delusional dropout. Then Scott dropped the bomb. "We were actually thinking," he said, swirling his wine. "Since you've made it, maybe you could invest in our property business. Just seed money. 50,000. Nothing crazy." I raised an eyebrow. Megan nodded eagerly beside him. "It's a great opportunity. Family helping family, right?" I stared at them for a long second. "You want me to help you now?" They exchanged a glance like they'd rehearsed their response. "We all make mistakes," Megan said sweetly. "We were just scared. You know, parents panic. Siblings say dumb things. We were young." "No," I cut in. "You weren't young. You were cruel." Silence. I leaned forward, voice low but firm. "You mocked me. You spread lies about me. And now that I'm successful, you want a slice?" Mom spoke then, trying to smooth it over. "Evelyn, this is a chance to put the past behind us. What matters is where we are now." I smiled. Not the soft kind, the surgical kind. Sharp, precise. "I agree. What matters is now. And right now, I have zero interest in funding people who stepped on me just to feel taller." Grace looked down. Scott let out a frustrated sigh. Megan tried again. "You can't still be mad." "I'm not mad," I said. "I'm just not available for fake apologies or family discounts." That's when Dad, weak but watching it all, spoke softly. "She earned this, every bit of it. Maybe we should stop trying to take from her and start learning how she did it." The room fell quiet. I stood up, adjusting my coat. That's the first honest thing I've heard tonight. And then, the twist no one saw coming. As I reached the door, I paused and turned back. By the way, that trauma wing, it's not named after me. They looked confused. It's named after the last person who believed in me before all of you turned your backs. Grandma June, Megan gasped. "But she passed away 10 years ago." I nodded. "And she still showed me more love than this entire room ever did." Their silence wasn't just awkward. It was heavy. The weight of guilt, of missed chances, of watching someone you once crushed now stand higher than you ever imagined. That night, as I lay in bed, the echoes of their shocked faces replayed in my mind. But beneath the satisfaction, a new tension stirred. Because winning isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about facing what comes after the applause fades. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the best of me. Dr. Carter, a calm male voice said, "This is Ethan Reynolds, CEO of Medicor Health Systems. I've been following your work closely. Your trauma wing project caught our board's attention." My heart skipped. "We'd like to discuss a partnership, a nationwide rollout. I think your vision could change healthcare across the country." I blinked, stunned. This was bigger than I imagined, the kind of deal that could transform everything. But then, my phone lit up again. It was a message from Megan. Just 2 words. "Meet me." I stared at the screen, the same sister who mocked me for years now reaching out. But something about the timing felt off. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find a man in a sharp suit, unfamiliar face, but his eyes sharp and cold. "Evelyn Carter?" he asked, holding out a sleek envelope. "I'm here on behalf of the family." My pulse quickened. He handed me the envelope. Inside was a contract, a demand for me to sign over my trauma wing and all associated funding back to the family trust. "Your sister says it's the right thing to do," he added. I laughed, low and steady. "The right thing to do? You mean the same people who kicked me out for being useless want to own what I built? I'm not signing anything." He smiled thinly. "We'll see about that." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. It was Ethan. "Dr. Carter, there's a complication. Our board just got wind of this family dispute. They're concerned about your leadership stability." Suddenly, my greatest achievement was under threat. Not by medicine, but by the people I thought I left behind. I realized then, the battle wasn't over. It was only just beginning. They thought they broke me. But I'm just getting started. Was scheduled for the very next day. I walked into the sleek conference room, heart pounding, but my face calm. Around the table sat faces that didn't know me, judges of my fate, and whispers of the family feud had already spread like wildfire. Ethan Reynolds sat at the head, his expression unreadable. "Dr. Carter, we respect your work, but stability is key. If this family issue isn't resolved, we may have to reconsider our partnership." I took a deep breath. I won't let personal attacks dictate my career. I built my trauma wing with sweat and sacrifice, not family approval. Suddenly, the door burst open. Megan stormed in, face flushed, clutching a folder. "Stop this," she said, voice shaking. "We've been wrong. We want to support Evelyn." Gasps filled the room. She laid the folder on the table. Financial records showing that the family trust was deep in debt, and my trauma wing was the only asset with real value. "You're the only reason this family still has a future," Megan admitted. "Please forgive us." I looked around, the power shifting. Ethan nodded slowly. "This changes everything." Then I dropped the final twist, one they never expected. "I'm willing to work with you," I said, "but on my terms. I'll keep full control of my projects. And from now on, respect isn't optional, it's mandatory." They all nodded, silently agreeing that this wasn't just a victory for me. It was a lesson in resilience, justice, and self-worth. As I walked out, I felt it. Not just the weight of success, but the power of finally owning my story. They kicked me out for being useless. But today, I'm the one holding the future in my hands, and I'm just getting started.